Welcome to this special edition of ESO Live.
Yes,
it would
sir.
be number 23, but I don't know if it's still the same thing. It's a special edition, which is the Q&A from QuakeCon.
We kicked out Gina. There was no room.
Yes.
No, yeah, so
it's just us today.
it's just us today. It's 100% devs with Gina off screen being her worst nightmare ever, probably.
And you're the moderator.
And I'm the
basically.
moderator. Yes, I will be the moderator.
You're going to keep us in line, right?
Let's start with a quick introduction here. Over here we have Mr. Rich Lambert, our creative director.
Oh, yeah.
To my right / maybe your left is Eric Roble, our item master / combat man / take your pick and does everything combat oriented.
I get some stuff done.
You get some stuff done,
Yeah.
That's true. And I'm Brian Wheeler, the insane person that makes PvP happen, as well as moderate, apparently, ESO
#1
Live
PvP
today.
master.
The #1 PvP insanity. Before we get going, I wanted to mention a quick thank you to everybody that's been playing on PTS.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people in
Yes,
there.
it has been amazing.
Yep.
Lots of good
Especially
stuff from the forums.
especially some of the Twitchers. I don't know if that's a real word, but I just made it up.
Yeah,
Twitchers. They're just going crazy. Well, I mean, you watch them play, and it's amazing what they can do. So I just
they
want
know
to
how to
say
press those buttons.
they do. I want to say a quick thank you to Curvis, Deltia, King Richard, Mav, Pinky or Pink Latex, Cypher, Nightwolf Menace, Longway, Erlex, and there's a bunch of you out there still that I forgot to
Yeah,
mention.
those guys are playing just all
They play
day
all the
long.
time.
It's pretty
Yeah.
great.
Right.
And honestly, I think the thing that I'm most excited about is the feedback has actually been more towards the constructive,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Like, it's not all, hey, you guys are idiots, or whatnot, right? Like, it's
There's a little bit of that,
too.
to be fair.
But it's been really, really constructive. Some of it's negative, some of it's positive. But it's been really nice and really refreshing to see that on the forum. So
thank
keep
you.
doing that, please, and
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Before we get going, I know Eric has a bunch of stuff he wants to talk about.
Yep.
Rich has stuff he wants to talk about. But one of the main issues we've been seeing are client crashes.
Yep.
And we posted up a fix earlier today. But in case you weren't on the forums or you're too busy on PTS or watching a Twitch stream like this, one of the workarounds we have for it before we get the full-on fix to try out is edit your user settings text. And there's a line in there called player stand-ins enabled .2. If you change that 2 to a 0, that may help you out with some of the crashes. We don't think it's a absolute 100% yup, sold, signed, delivered, and it fixes, but if it does fix it, please post on the forums that it did help. And we are still obviously looking at all the other client issues that are out there.
And what does that do? It like changes the way the models are loading?
Something
right?
along those lines.
Yeah, so it's like you won't see people loading in immediately.
You
but
won't see the black placeholder of the
Right.
models loading.
Okay.
in.
And that's
Yeah.
sort of what maybe some of the errors are
Yep.
coming from. Right. So if you're getting some crashes, please go ahead and do that. Again, we did post it on the forums, which we hope you're checking out as we continue through the PTS. But before we get going with that, that's out of the way. So I just threw that at
Nice
Gina.
shot.
All Gina's
So-
hard work gone right
We have a
there.
lot of questions here from you, as well as what's being fed to us.
You're just going to rip that up now, too, right? You don't need questions for an
This
interview.
is a lot of questions. Oh, my goodness. Before we get to these, though, let's start with Rich, who has some things he wants to talk about specifically after we've gone to PTS.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing that, and I said this a little bit earlier, right, was, thank you for being on PTS and playing through there. We are paying attention. I've talked to a bunch of people on the forums in private messages. I'm lurking on the forums. It's definitely refreshing to see some of the feedback we're getting, which is great.
Yeah.
That being said, we're not going to fix everything that people have come up with. We're going to kind of pick and choose the major issues that we see, and we're going to fix the ones that we can, obviously, but the ones that require very significant changes to overall designs, we're probably not going to change, but we're going to do things like the 12-hour stone drop. That's a big one, right? And I know I've seen a ton of questions in there about that. We're going to, next patch, we're going to test that. We're going to test at 80% loss instead of 100% and see what that does. Brian's going to, mess around with, and I think I'm stealing some of his thunder here, but
It's thunder.
he's going to mess around with some of the gating mechanisms.
The
we're
door
gonna-
issues.
Well, there's that, but there's also the, requiring owning your 6 keeps.
Yep.
Right? To get into Imperial City. See what that does. This is a test. It's not 100%, but we want to see what that does. And we have the ability to do this at the campaign level.
Yes.
Which means that we can have campaigns that are one rule set and other campaigns which are at another rule set, and that's going to change the way things work.
Yep.
So, bear with us. We're testing things out on PTS. This is our time to really get some wide-scale feedback to this.
Yeah, it's great the number of players that are on there, and also just how excited and passionate everyone is, and people have been having a lot of fun.
The streams have been really fun to
really
watch.
good.
Yeah,
really
and it's really action-packed being in Imperial City, and I think that's one of my favorite things. Is like you can get in there and then you're fighting immediately, and you die, you can get right back in the battle and just start fighting more people.
Right.
So that's.
And you have a bunch of things as well, but before, I want to make sure everybody knows ESO Live with Gina, Kai, Jason, and special guests and fan art and all that will be back in 2 weeks. This is a special Insanity version of developers doing Q&A for Imperial City. But we're going to go to Eric real quick. With he has a lot.
Are you trying to say I'm long-winded? Come on, man.
I'm not saying you're long-winded. You have a lot of fixes to go through that PTS has helped expose. So can you get to some of those for us?
Sure. And I want to address just some of the major things that that people on the forums are posting about, or things that have a large impact on gameplay. So yeah, we're making a ton of fixes, and we're like really polishing and balancing everything up and making it better, which is nice that we have a good amount of time on the PTS to really iterate on things.
Yeah, we have what, 3 weeks almost left, or a month? It's about 3 weeks.
Couple.
It's a while.
Yeah, we
still got a while.
We got some time.
There's some time.
We got some time. So we're making things better and better every single update and every single push to the PTS. So some of the big ticket things. We changed werewolf so that you would only get the stamina thing if you actually had the ultimate slotted, and then we also changed vampire so that you would only get those bonuses if you had an ability slotted, because we wanted people to actually have to make a trade-off or a commitment. Right now on live, there's no reason not to be a werewolf, right? You just straight up get more stamina regeneration by becoming a werewolf. So we want it to be like, okay, yeah, you can get that, but you actually have to invest in it. And yes, same with the vampire. And then to sort of help soften the blow, though, we have reduced the penalties. So those players who really do like those, like using those different play styles, are more effective. And then one more big change we just put in with werewolf is now passively, just while you're a werewolf, you get a pretty big armor and spell resistance buff. And it's about like almost around 10,000 armor and spell resistance.
Something like that.
So you get it's like around 15% reduction to damage, so it's pretty significant. So that was sort of, I think, one of the last things that werewolf was missing, because they have the leap ability, so they have mobility, they have a healing debuff, they have an ability that can heal themselves, and they have an AoE attack, right? So they have a ton of tools, but the last thing they just needed is a little bit more defenses.
Right.
So feeling pretty good about that. That was the first thing on the list.
How many other things on this wonderful list of yours?
I can.
Wait. So the first thing you got to touch on after werewolf, I think, is stamina knight or stamina sorceress.
Right.
Well, I can cross that off this list.
Yep. We got it covered. So there was a really great forum post here specifically that we read through, and the guy just put like 20 different suggestions. He's like, here's all the things that are magicka based, but stamina based doesn't get any sort of bonus from them. And so we picked a couple, and we're like, yeah, we should just make that something that sorcerers, a stamina-based playstyle, can get a bonus from too. So specifically, the two we picked were Expert Mage, which is the one that gives you more spell power for each stamina, or for each sorcerer ability you have slotted. And we added weapon damage into that. So it still rewards you for focusing as a sorcerer on your own class abilities, and the more you're doing that, the more benefit you get, and then it's just a little bit more fair for the two different play styles, to sort of help give them a little bit more damage, right? And then the second one was Daedric Protection, which just gave 20% health recovery. So like it's okay, but health recovery is not amazing.
Not quick enough.
Right. So we We added a stamina bonus to that as well. So at max rank, you can get 10% stamina regeneration as well. So that sort of helps the resource problems that stamina sorcerers were having.
Gotcha.
And then there's one more change we're playing with, but we'll leave a little bit of intrigue for the future.
We'll come back to that.
We'll
one.
wait for that question
We'll come back
because
to
it'll
that
come
one
up.
in a bit.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
There you go.
But
So-
anyways, yeah, we're definitely aware and we're working on continuing to fix and improve the stamina sorcerer issues.
Now these are a lot of the questions that the community gang gathered before QuakeCon.
Yep.
So some of these may have been answered just from the fact of you all playing on PTS, but never hurts to ask them again. But first and foremost, I mean, this is pretty important. Jared Lindsay 86 ESO.
Oh yeah.
Can I get a camel mount?
A camel mount.
Oh
Camel
yeah.
mount. I want a camel mount.
I'm sure that we will put a camel mount in the game at some point.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to ride a camel, right?
That's true. That's true. Who doesn't want to ride a camel?
No
They're
promises
always at the
when.
fairs. Right.
But
And no
I'm
promises
certain
on the
we'll
number
do.
of humps the camel will have.
Right. Now getting us
There's a forum vote right there, right?
Yeah.
There's a
yeah.
poll.
getting
So
a
we get in there.
getting a little bit more back on Imperial City. Sinai. If I said that wrong, please don't jump through the screen and punch me. Will /
Although
Stuck.
if you do, I won't stop you because I'll be like,
Yeah,
whoa,
everybody-
this is great.
People want to hit me, and that would be like some Neo craziness. So, will / Stuck work in Imperial City? And if so, does it count as a PvE death?
That seems like a really good question for the lead PvP designer.
Oh my gosh.
Do you
Yeah.
think
go.
you could help us out?
No.
Okay.
So, / Stuck does currently have a cooldown on it in Imperial City as well as in Cyrodiil. But in Imperial City specifically, it'll be counting as a PvE death soon. Basically, on the next PTS version we get up there, it will count purely as a PvE death. We had bannered around a little bit about whether you have PvP credit on your list, if somebody's fighting
player
you, do we call it a
hitting
PvP
you.
death or not? And we
Right.
figured it's just most fair to call it a PvE death if you / Stuck.
Right, and it takes
will
a while
still-
for / Stuck to work anyways, so
Yep.
it's not like, oh, someone's fighting me, so I just
Yeah, you can't do it in
/ Stuck
combat.
real quick. Yeah.
Yep.
There's
So-
certainly less ways to grief other players with that.
Yeah, very much so. So I mean, we do know that people may still use it, but the cooldown is still going to be on it as well. So it's two precautions there. Going with some questions. Let's do one from Twitch from today, shall we?
Whoa.
Infernalist
now.
933. Is the new Zivkin motif only for ESO Plus guys, or ones that buy the DLC? And follow up. It's a two-part
Oh,
question. Sorry.
okay.
Two-parter.
Is it
Gotta play that
only
game,
to
huh?
find in the IC or everywhere?
Well,
Dun,
I
dun,
guess
dun.
technically the way you get the polymorph, and this is a little bit of spoiler, but you find this in the treasure vaults. And yell if I get this wrong, but you find this
yell
in the
too.
treasure vaults, and they are tradable. They're really rare, but you can trade them. So if you don't have ESO Plus or you aren't going to buy the Imperial City DLC, you can still get them if another player has it and wants to sell it. My guess is it's going to be ridiculously expensive.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, people
because
are
it's
gonna want
really,
that
really
thing.
rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get it.
I mean,
Yeah,
besides the
and-
fact that it makes you look like a Zivkin and you can walk around with the Zivkin next to you.
It's
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah, and specifically, yeah, the crafting motif pages, yeah, are in those treasure vaults, and then
As well.
Right.
And then the actual polymorph, you buy that with Telvar stones. You have a chance when you open these random bags to get it out of there.
Right.
Yep. Another one from today's chat. Please don't butcher me if I
No, you're knocking them out of the park
That's
so
that's
far.
why you're reading.
That's
the
why I'm
answers.
reading them.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all like, who wants to do
Who
it?
wants
And
to read?
Rich and I touched our
Oh,
noses
I put it
immediately,
last.
and Wheeler was like, wait, what game are we
What are we
playing?
doing? I thought we were doing thumbs. JezzyX, is there any change to the 100% Telvar rule coming?
I just announced that.
Right.
Oh.
I did,
Wow.
right? So it's yeah, we're gonna test it at 80% on the next PTS push and see what happens.
Yeah,
see
and I
how
think
that
that'll
feels.
sort of help the gameplay flow a little bit, because there's a lot of issues where if you die in the district, then you have no stones, so you have no reason not to jump back down there immediately and
Right.
attack someone, right?
And so we actually have data. Our BI group, our business intelligence group, is awesome, and so they've actually got
Yay.
us some really cool data about the average number of Telvar stones earned per hour, and there's some outliers. But for the most part, people are almost net even, which really isn't what we want. So we're gonna try it out at 80%, see what happens, and we'll continue to iterate on it as we go.
Yeah, and I think they had like some statistics for like the most Telvar stones lost in a
Bang.
single
We do.
death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Gina off camera. Did we actually announce that? Did we talk about that?
The 80%?
No, the competition.
Yes, we just posted it today.
Okay,
Oh,
so
then.
that's
man.
good. We're
This
not
is new.
We're not blowing anything. So yeah, there is actually a competition on PTS that we're tracking right now for number of Telvar stones earned total, right? So
Yeah.
did we announce what the reward was?
Yes.
Okay, well there you go.
Great.
So apparently the players are more informed than we are, which is great.
Oh, I mean, we knew
There's,
we
there's, you're going to be quoted on that. You are absolutely going to be quoted on that on the phone. Like reverse lurk you.
this
It's
is
going
That's great. I love it. Love it. But yeah, so there's a really cool competition on there. And,
Yeah,
and
but we're giving it like crowns and amount.
That's right.
Was the last thing I heard.
Yep.
Which should be cool. And yeah, we have like BI numbers of like, oh yeah, the most people are getting like around 1,000 per hour. So that's the number you need to beat if you're trying to be one of the top people. And we were also just sort of like looking through the data and having fun. And the most number of Telvar stones lost in a single death
In one kill?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like
2,500?
2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2,500. I was like, oh, that guy lost so many stones.
I may have been watching that last night on Twitch. I may have.
saw it live?
Well, Curvis had a bunch when he was running around last night because he's just running around wrecking people.
Yep.
And he died, and he was rounding around halfway through the 2 times modifier. I was like, he has a lot of stones.
It's a
And then he
Yeah,
dropped.
and then
he died.
Well, 1,000 is a 3x,
3x,
modifier,
right,
right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he may have been way above that then.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
That's crazy.
He was rocking it.
Uh,
Yeah, so it's gonna be cool when players are actually trying to get as many stones as possible.
Oh, it's
Because
gonna
right
be
now they're just
insane.
sort of like testing out builds and stuff.
A lot of people have been just going crazy,
Yep.
for lack of a better way to
Oh.
word it, in the districts with PvP. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. Again, thank you, Twitch guys. I know Eric has been on the PTS. I've been out there as well.
Yep.
Kind of incognito, hiding out, watching, and getting killed at the same time.
And killing some people,
And
man.
killing some people.
I've had some really cool experiences where like me and someone were taking on one of the 2-player bosses and we were like getting them
nice.
down, and then someone jumps us. And we're like, oh crap! And then we're trying to like manage the boss, but we like turned around and killed that guy, and then finished off the boss. We're like, yeah, that was awesome, man. We got stones for
Nice.
killing that player, so it was, it's been
Awesome.
fun.
And then the boss killed you, right?
No, we got the
they
boss
win,
too.
they win.
So, yeah.
I was angry about that because we made the bosses on my team. So speaking of Telvar stones,
Should have made the bosses stronger, Brian.
Well, we made them really tough in the districts, which a lot of people have been commenting on that they actually like.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's you got to really pay attention, right? You can't just.
Yes. So that Telvar Stone competition, it will start Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. By the way, we are in the East Coast studio. So
I'm impressed you remember
that'll be
that.
in there.
Wow.
That we're in the East Coast because we have East Coast teams and Gina's in Maryland gear, so we have to be local.
We move around a lot.
Now, speaking of Telvar Stones, Audigy said since we can loot Telvar Stones off player bodies, any chance we could pickpocket them from living players too?
Probably. Does he mean like anywhere or like in?
Well, in Imperial City or in the districts, that's where it would occur.
yeah, I
in
think
the
we want to keep it
sewers.
to like PvP,
PvP
combat,
kill
Just
only,
flat out
specifically.
killing.
Yeah,
Not
and
not
that's-
sneaking from people.
Yeah.
That's the initial design.
That's the
because at
initial-
least
yeah.
you get an idea. I died, they're
Gotcha.
gone. Rather than
I mean, if you want to do
what
a
the hell they're gone. I don't
sneak-based
understand.
thing, yeah, it's like, well, you can get a stealth attack and do extra damage and stun them, right? Which
Right.
will help you. So we are supporting stealth gameplay in that way.
Let's see here. What other fun
But
ones?
we are planning on continuing to support Imperial City and
Yes.
like add more things. So I'm not saying like we would never do that, but
Right.
for the initial design, this is what
Right.
we want.
Now, Kraz Madsey, I was actually Craze. I may have been saying her name wrong too. I'm sorry.
All this hate mail
Crazy,
coming
crazy
in.
mad side. That's a crazy mad side.
Crazy mad scientist.
Oh,
There you
well,
go.
So, are the bone shards and other collectibles, we call them MacGuffins or whatever, for the trophy vaults intended to be bound to your character, and should they be tradable or not?
Oh, we were just talking about this.
I know we were, but they didn't hear us talking about
They
it.
did not.
No.
Because we were, I thought they heard all that stuff.
No.
They didn't get the pre-show
No, it's
information.
probably
If, like,
it's
Twitch
probably
was
good they
running-
didn't hear that stuff.
Yeah. So, there were some fun exchanges here.
Oh,
So
boy.
they are not intended to be bound. We want them to be tradable.
Yes.
Because the situation of I've gone through the treasure vault, I've gotten my gear from it. What else would I go back in there for besides going back and getting another pull on the treasure chest for possibly the Zivkin polymorph or the
motifs.
The motifs.
Yeah.
I may want to trade them to you because I have 40 and you have 20,
Right.
and you want to get in, or I want to make some money as a PvP player as well.
Yeah.
I can sell them on the
Or
guild
if
stores.
we both have 30 of different types, right? We can
Right.
switch,
Swap
and
them.
then
Yep.
and then you can get a pull and I can get a pull, and we can
Right,
do
yeah,
it faster,
exactly.
right?
Yep. So right now they are bound on you on the PTS, but we'll be fixing that for the next run that we do.
Yes.
Let's see what other fun ones we can get from the fancy printout that we have.
That
here.
is a very fancy printout.
We did- it
like
is
I've seen some
pretty
printouts
crazy.
before.
It is pretty good.
Fancy
Yeah.
scribbles on it too.
Well, that was, are there plans, this is slightly off IC topic, Hero of None, that's his name.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I've
are
seen
there-
that stream before.
Are there plans to release a veteran version for each dungeon?
Veteran version for each dungeon.
If only there was
In
a
the-
content person that could answer this.
In the
for us.
long term, yes. So no guarantees or obviously promises on how long that takes us, but it's definitely something that we want to continue to add and make sure we're delivering that group-based content.
Let's see if we can get another one here. About player costumes? How's that sound for you guys?
Yeah, I can talk about some costumes.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Adrissa Jonelli or Jonely? One
I'm
of those
like
two.
so glad you're doing this.
Because then I can just get yelled at. If I was a teacher, I would be terrible in
Oh,
the first
boy.
roll call. So, also with character costumes, will we ever see a personalized means of creating our own cosmetic appearances? I found some nice looking boots with no stats that would look perfect.
Yes.
Thank you for being fashionable. But I can't keep that look without sacrificing armor values or stats. So,
I think that's a fantastic idea. It's not something that's on the list right now
Right.
to hit.
We
but
do have plans to further customize.
We do. We're not quite ready to talk about those
Okay.
yet.
All right.
but,
Yeah. But we have plans.
Yeah, like I mean, one of the things that we kind of have to balance as a development team in general is there are so many unbelievably great ideas,
Yeah.
and we have only a certain number of hours in a day, and we can't do everything. Right?
Yeah.
Like
and we
I
want to
w-
keep making new
I
content.
want to do
We want to keep
everything.
making new dungeons. We want
Right.
to, you know,
and
keep
so it's
updating
just that
abilities.
balance. So what was that name again?
that was Adrissa Jonelli. You're going to kill me.
Yeah, great idea. We can always add it to our list, but it's not scheduled to be worked on anytime soon.
Now, here's a name we should all know. Attorney at Law.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
attorney at law. Okay.
If you guys don't know him, look him up on our forums.
He's there.
He has,
Yep,
he has
a
a
lot.
lot
He's
of good
around.
suggestions. Right.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
He's
Oh yeah.
very
he
awesome.
has informative posts.
Yep.
He's a smart guy. Yeah.
He has a very informative question, which I'm not going to read all of it.
And he likes to write a lot too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
has any decision been made as to when we might expect to see further UI options added beyond the currently announced toggleable buff, debuff, info, scrolling combat text, or are they under discussion currently? There's a lot more to that question, but that's kind of the root of it. Are we going to add nameplates? Are we going to add SCT? Are we going to add buff, debuff tracking?
Yes.
Sweet. There you go. Done.
Nailed it.
Done.
Yeah, I mean, of those options, SCT, nameplates, buff, debuffs, those are all things that I would like to add to the game. One thing that's not on there though that is currently being worked on is subtitles. Matt talked about that
Right.
a little bit at QuakeCon.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I remember that.
That's something that we didn't get a chance to get in for launch, and that's definitely being added, and should be in fairly soon. No dates, obviously.
No dates, but we are working on it, for
It's
sure.
working.
And we're still kind of iterating on it. And
I
getting
have
the feel
actually
right.
seen it in game on the dev server, on our build server. So,
You can say dev server. They know we're developing.
well, but there's a whole bunch of
Our
different.
secret
right?
server.
Oh, no, we're
but,
dev.
but yeah, it's in being worked on now, and there's other things in there that I'm not ready to kind of spring yet. But
Right.
yeah, we're working on a lot of those things. Quality of life. Quality of
Oh
life
my God.
improvements. Indeed.
Eric,
Have you done?
What have you done?
What have
I
you
did that
done?
too. I got too excited and knocked my mic
I
off.
get
Oh my
really
God.
excited. I hope I'm not
Is he
messing
still-
up the sound
is
levels.
Eric still
Are we-
sounding lovely?
Are we good at the rate?
because
Good
I'm
enough?
about to ask him
Thumbs
to
up.
talk.
We got thumbs up. We're good. Let's
Okay.
I'm about to ask him about what else do you
Keep
have
going.
on your list.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I know you have a bunch on that
Oh
list.
yeah, I got
still.
some more.
We decided to
things.
come back to it.
Yeah, I mean it was getting kind of boring listening to
Sorry.
me just talk and talk
You
and
just
talk.
like talking.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So more from PTS.
Yeah.
Some more changes.
There have been some discussions on racial changes.
Give me the evil
Oh, boy.
look. Give him the look too.
Why me?
Because we're both talking about racial stuff as well as Eric.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. So we have been listening to all the feedback, and yeah, we had sort of our first cut in of the changes, and we've made a couple of additions. So Nord, we're increasing the max health bonus from up to 6% to 9%. It's 3 on live, so it's pretty substantial. We want Nords to be, these are the tanky guys, right? Like they can take a lot of punishment. So now with the extra max health and the reduced damage taken, like that's their thing. With the Argonians, I don't know if you've heard some Argonian complaints before.
I haven't heard any.
But yeah, they're just really happy. All the changes are great.
They're just
nothing
like flowers
needed.
and roses.
Yep.
Right now. Right.
Like your race was slighted or had like a lot weaker stuff. So we increased the max health bonus from 3% to 6%, and we also increased the healing taken from 6% to 9%. And the healing taken is actually pretty good in PvP now because the kill times are longer, right? So you actually have more time to heal yourself up, which makes that pretty useful. And then we reverted the Altmer and Bosmer changes because like they were already in a pretty good state, and we decided not to mess with them because they were fine, and we just kind of wanted to bring up the power level.
Can you say that one again? What do we do to the high elf and wood elf one?
Wait,
We reverted the change?
We reverted the change.
Reverted.
Because there's been a little bit of feedback about that too.
Yeah, so people were, a little bit. They were like, well, why do they get bonuses? They're already, doing really well. So yeah, we'll just leave them for now. But yeah, Argonian and Nord should definitely be valid choices. And some guy said he had like created all 5 of his characters were Argonian, and he was really sad. So
But they have scales. It looks cool.
yeah, so yeah, Argonian, we wanted them to be about sort of regeneration and restoring the resources and health. So we're sort of keeping that theme with them and just making it more effective at those things.
So there is another one. We did post actually about this on the forums about Flying Blade.
Oh yeah.
Having a bit of a hitch.
Yeah, so you would be surprised how different the game is if you add 1 extra 0 to like any ability. All of a sudden,
Misplaced the decimal point, and oh boy.
all of a sudden it's really good.
I watched people last night get killed by it, and they go, what? And they immediately go spec for Flying Blade. And so, yes, that will get fixed.
Our bad.
The good news is it was only like a certain rank of the ability, but yeah, we fixed all that. It was a really quick, easy change. Just got there's a lot of things that got changed, and some things slight little tiny mistake there.
Now, again,
I really wish people could hear Gina in the back there off camera.
they probably can.
She's having a giggle fit. Every one of these, she has a giggle fit, and she's losing it right now. It's hilarious.
Now again, when we talk about the changes that we've made them internally. We're putting them through testing, and they will get to the PTS probably in the next week or two.
Weekish.
Probably the best way to word it. We still need to make sure that all of it is set before we go. Okay, here's everything.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll have a new build.
Right.
It's coming up, and we're still playing and getting more changes in for that build coming up.
Yep.
For the first round.
Some more questions from pre-QuakeCon. Atherion, are you actually considering working on underwater content for ESO?
Ooh. Wow.
What was said with some spice? Are you actually?
Are you actually? Yeah. That.
Does that imply like we promised we were going to, or?
Yeah, I don't think so. So, short answer is no. It doesn't really have a place in ESO, and I think the other part of that answer is that whenever you try to do combat in a full-on 3D space, it's disorienting. It doesn't work very well.
In our game specifically, we didn't design it with that in mind. Like if we could have done that previously, I think we could make a cool experience. But it's just that wasn't really what we were creating.
It's not something that we're gonna do.
Right now, all the Argonians are going.
I hear you.
Of course.
Well, I think it's still fun to like maybe there's an underwater cave that you could find or something. So like we wouldn't have like a full underwater expansion, but like we might allow people to swim around in environments or something like that at some point.
Surface swimming only for now.
Right.
Yeah.
Going from today's Twitch, Parfax, is the 75% total DPS decrease in PvP intended from live to PTS server?
75%? So
That's
I've had a
illicit
few
question.
people message me about various DPS losses. And Eric has gotten most of those sent directly to him from me.
Yeah, and there's a number of things that like factor into it, right? Like there's a bug with like the Templars execute where it's not being able to critical strike right now. I know monsters have more armor and spell resistance now. The dungeons and bosses there, so that's gonna reduce it a little bit. The enchantments on your jewelry, we reduce the amount of weapon and spell power bonuses that those get. Because that enchantment was just way better than any of the other enchantments, so we wanted to sort of balance it and make it so that like, oh yeah, you're not always gonna put like you might want to put regeneration on instead, right? Just to sort of give people more options and stuff. So a number of those things, would decrease the damage by some amount.
Yeah, but I mean, we did a lot of testing for this, update, and we did a lot of DPS testing specifically, and so we didn't notice anything overall majorly broken. But if you have a build or a certain setup where on live it was this and on PTS it's significantly lower, send it our way. Send it to the community team. You can PM me. Like I'm on the forums.
You lurk. You're /
I do
That's
/
your
lurk all the
thing.
time.
Yeah.
So
You're gonna get so many messages now, by the way.
I already do, honestly. Right. So I already get a bunch, but that's fine. Like I want to make sure that we try to get this more right. Like let's fix the bugs. Let's get them in there. And the game is so huge and so massive that we're not going to catch everything. So if you guys find something, send it our way. We want to hear it.
One specifically for Eric
Oh hey.
from Shug. Are there any plans to make hybrid builds?
Shog.
I have no response. Are there any plans to make hybrid builds that want to use both pools, stamina and magicka, viable?
Yeah. And we added the new enchantment in Imperial City.
The prismatic one?
Yeah, prismatic, which lets you get all the pools. And also we're looking at potentially adding new item sets in the future that will support more hybrid type of playstyles. So yeah, I think hybrids are really cool, and I'd like to see as much possible build diversity. People combining magic and stamina stuff is another option that's really neat. So yeah, we're looking to do more to support that in the future as well.
Good. I have one that is just a personal question for both of you guys because I've always wanted
You want to know how I feel?
No, I don't
favorite
want
color is
to.
black.
So is this a you question?
This is
or
a me
actually,
question for
God.
fun.
Oh, good.
What? This inquiring minds we want to know. What do you listen to at work?
Music-wise?
Yeah, music-wise. What do you listen to? Why not?
I listened to some people complain.
Well,
I
he's
meant
not
developers.
talking about you
I
guys.
didn't mean to.
He's not talking about you.
I believe that's called
is-
foot in mouth.
He is talking
Wow.
about all the people that he sits next to that are going to beat him up when he goes back to this desk.
Good cover.
Now, what music do you listen to? That's a good one for both of you. Why not?
I
Fair
mean,
enough.
I like to rock out on Pandora.
Pandora's
So-
a station.
Yeah,
so you
like-
can pick music.
Yeah, so I got a Shakira station. I'm all about that.
Okay.
I got a Weezer station.
All right.
Don't lie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She
Nice.
knows.
There you go.
Nice.
I got a Lindsay Sterling.
Oh, there you go. Some little violinist.
Yeah,
All right.
she kills it with that violin.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all about that.
What about you?
I listen to everything. I have, I guess the best way to say it is an eclectic
Version?
version, a taste in music. So I listen from everything from Eminem to Sarah Brightman and opera. Like, it doesn't matter. As long as it's got kind of like that
Well,
good
it's
beat.
got something. All right.
Yeah, I listen to everything. So
I'm pretty much classic rock. Can't
Yeah, I can see that.
can't beat the Stones,
Classic Wheeler.
right? From the Twitch channel, Rise44, top tanks.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Top tanks currently reported that PvE tanking is hard. How do you
Yeah.
expect the casual, average tank to handle the stamina regeneration change? That's part one.
Okay.
Should they all roll an Imperial Redguard Nightblade tank to handle the change?
Oh boy.
Yeah, so
Leading question.
it's definitely going to take people a little bit of time to sort of get used to the tanking, because it's not just like, oh, I hold right click the whole time and I'm tanking, right, and every now and then I
'cause they can
taunt, right?
block your-
Like, yeah, you want to be blocking for the attacks that are big and important, and then you want to be doing other things during the rest of the time, activating abilities or trying to get in heavy attacks, or just regenerating your stamina. And we're pretty confident with the 100%. Like, it's not 100% set in stone that we're just going to leave it at that value, but we're pretty happy with that, and it makes the game a lot more interesting and just better in both PvE and PvP combat. So I don't want people thinking we just did it for one type of gameplay, because it makes the whole game
Right.
a lot better and a lot more interesting. And yeah, so tanks are probably going to be using stamina potions more often now, or
Right.
potions that give health and stamina or something like that. And then there's a number of abilities that all classes have, right, to help restore stamina.
Yep.
Like
Right.
Templars have Repentance, the Dragon Knights have, whenever they cast an Earth and Heart, they get stamina back. The Nightblades have the siphoning strikes, which just a little note about siphoning strikes while we're here.
There's a fix on that paper,
Yeah.
probably. about this.
We made some adjustments to that that have not been quite as popular as we were hoping for. And the goal of changing that ability was to make it so that it would be more universally applicable, because it was basically just a tanking ability, because you lost a whole bunch of your damage when you had it active. So we wanted DPS or healers to also sort of have that as an option.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at right now is making it so that one morph will remain the toggle with the reduced power. So that one will be really good for tanks, and then the other morph will be more viable for DPSers and healers and stuff
good.
like that.
Speaking about stamina, while we're on it, JB Snow 404. That's how you do 404, by the way. Will anything be done about the no stamina regen while blocking?
Can you just ask that
I
question?
feel like
I
that
know,
was,
but I just want to reiterate it,
reiterate?
because I mean, Eric mentioned the 100% stamina. It's still worth pointing out specifically about blocking and stamina regen. Are we looking at that at all? Is kind of the main question there.
Yeah, like there's tons of feedback, and we're definitely like looking at it and checking out people. But like, when we tested this whole content expansion, right? Like, we had that rule in place the whole time. That's what all our tests and all our values were based on. So we are fairly confident with that value, but we're still looking at looking at feedback, and we're not just ignoring people.
So it's actually really interesting looking at the feedback. So when we initially announced the change, the feedback was overwhelmingly negative. Nobody had a chance to play it and whatnot.
Yeah.
And now that
It's like when you just read it, you're like, oh, Jesus, what are they thinking?
And now that you actually, there's a bunch of people that are actually playing this, the feedback is actually closer now, right? Like, it's closer to 50-50. And so, there may be some more tuning and tweaking going on in there, but
overall it creates a lot more tactical, a lot more interesting gameplay.
It does, and that's not just from the elite of the elite either, right? Like, we're seeing that feedback kind of across the board. So,
this is one that I'm going to answer myself. Sorry, guys.
Hey man,
But-
you deserve questions too.
Erlex, who I've been watching run
Oh yeah,
through.
he likes to be Templar.
He does a lot of classes. Him and Mr. Richard.
King
Sir
Richard?
King Richard.
King Richard.
Sir,
Yep. Sir Richard.
Professor Richard.
Professor
Sir
Richard.
Richard.
Richard. Sir, there you go. New forum name, Sir Richard.
oh boy.
So, can we have something done to prevent the spawn camping in Imperial City? There are several places where spawns are right next to each other, creating endless fights for no reward. We have looked at some of the things in Imperial City regarding the spawn locations to give you a little bit more of a safe area. We've talked a little bit about the Telvar Stone reduction.
So that when you kill the person again, at least you'll get something, because they'll still have some stones.
The fact that it's an 80% loss, it's not like you're killing them for 0 straight away. The other thing to notice is that a lot of the alliance points are gained in Imperial City are seemingly lower. That's because the killing is happening a lot faster.
A lot faster.
And if anybody, it's hard to tell this in Cyrodiil, but there's a 5-minute time for your alliance points to refresh back to full value. And within 30 seconds, you're worth 0.
Because we didn't want you just killing the same person.
People over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's kind of
And that
the
rule's
same
always been in the game, right?
That's always been
there. Yep.
Always been there. So it's just sort of exacerbated a bit in Imperial City, just due to the fact of, especially the arena, for example, the spawn points are pretty close to each other.
Yeah, and in Cyrodiil, that was never a problem because it took a while to run back in there.
So the first step is adjusting the 12-hour stone drop to be not 100% but 80%.
Yep.
So in the the rudimentary case of I have 100 stones on me, you kill me, you'll get 20 the next time you kill me, and it'll just keep reducing. It'll probably just be the case where you always have 1. Maybe that goes to 0. We need to do that. check.
It'll
We
be
need to do that
eventually
test of repeated kills
it'll
over and
eventually
over
get to a rounding.
Yeah,
right?
it'll get
And
to a
it'll
rounding
always
issue,
round.
exactly. That's one of the things. We are also talking about, besides the spawn issues at where you respawn in the districts, when you go from district to district or from sewer to district, you take a ladder up or you take a sewer grate down or you click on one of the big doors. We're going to be adding an immunity, sort of like the sanctuary buff we have already, but it's going to be a timed version. It'll last for about 30 seconds because people
That's about loading average
Right,
time?
yeah.
It depends, right?
It depends on your PC. The longer load is obviously going from the sewers to the districts or vice versa, but from district to district it's pretty quick. This will last a certain amount of time. It will drop if you initiate an action.
So I can't just be invincible killing people or anything like that.
If you initiate, it is going to drop off you.
Okay, great.
Now this does give you the opportunity to alpha strike the people that are camping those locations. So it kind of flips it a little bit.
Probably a good thing, though.
It's
right?
probably a good thing, right? This again is going to be on PTS when we put it up, and we hope that'll help out a little bit as well with some of the spawn camping issues. To go further upon some of the.
Oh, go further! Don't stop going.
I just run.
Yep.
I keep on
running out of the studio.
I ran so far away.
Oh boy.
To go back to some of these questions.
Oh yeah.
Actually, sorry. Can we add more skill modifiers? Sorry, this is from Hero of None again.
Oh yeah.
Can we add more skill modifiers to the trial leaderboards? I know that we've been talking a lot about Imperial City, but the trials we shouldn't leave out as well.
Yep.
As we've found recently, it's all about the fastest time, and some players would like to see if we can adjust that.
There are definitely some tweaks coming. We're tweaking the leaderboards in general a little bit. I believe that was actually posted on the forums a little while ago, or a while ago now, but yeah, there are tweaks. We definitely want to incentivize more the killing of monsters.
Instead of people skipping all the content.
Instead of skipping the content, like the goal eventually is the fastest time to clear, obviously, but you have to be able to, you have to complete all the content. So we want to make sure we get that.
Makes sense.
All right. Crazy Mad Scientist, again. This is from today's Twitch. And I actually got it right that time. So.
Nice.
So,
I'm really
CJ.
proud.
I'm a little proud of thank you, CJ. Are there any plans to make it easier for players to get to the central sewer event? Currently, all the sewer entrances make it so you have to travel through all 3 sewer maps, which, by the way, she is working on a big map, but we might as well say that we're working on adding a big map too. So
it's beautiful.
Right.
It's big
Instead
and
of just seeing the portion of the sewer that you're in, we're going to allow you to zoom out and see basically the entire sewer network as well.
So you can see it in all its massive glory.
It's big. Yeah, a lot
it
of
helps
people
you navigate through it a little bit
yeah,
easier.
very much so. A lot of people have commented that the sewers are huge.
Oh yeah.
So we kind of didn't tell people how big it was because we wanted it to be a surprise.
Surprise.
So there's going to be a new map that'll come out. Not to downplay the fact that she is making her own awesome map, which is cool. I was talking to her about that today. But will it be easier to get down there? Could we as alliances get a respawn point in the central of the sewer map that would promote traveling through the sewer system a little bit more? One of the things we found in the testing of the sewers is that is basically the place where you go to collect a lot of stones.
Yeah, because there's all those portals that you can close.
So there's also really cool stuff down there that nobody has really discovered yet.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So the respawn rate in there, it feels like it's a little bit faster because it's confined space. We actually had some discussions about that internally to make sure the respawns were equivalent above ground and below ground. But part of the feeling of going through the sewers is this race to get back to your respawn point after you've collected a lot of Telvar stones. Well, we do understand the desire to be able to get back to your friends quicker. This also puts a little bit more pressure on everybody to carry soul gems, to res your buddies.
Yeah.
Also, part of the reason why we made them a little bit cheaper on the AP store.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the portal stones, right now they cost AP.
Oh, they don't know that yet.
Didn't we?
They do now.
They do now.
Didn't we say that was a thing that we wanted to do?
We said it was a thing that we were going to do.
That was the pre. The pre-chat we
The
had.
free chat, not before you
Not
guys
the
were
in front
live.
of
Surprise!
Before it turned on.
Well, anyways.
He said we're
well, they
gonna make
wanna.
things.
They should know.
So now
they're
you
gonna
should.
find out anyways.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
What anyways?
that's part of the reason of we don't have a respawn point in there. I understand that it is something that would be awesome, but it kind of takes away a little bit from that tense feel that we get. Like in the districts, people are running up there to kill each other left and right, and it's
Oh, yeah.
that's kind of
Crazy.
how it was designed. The districts was designed for a heavy mix of PvP in with PvE.
Yeah.
And the sewers are more designed of a massive public dungeon, which is more of a typical PvE crawl.
yeah. So it feels like a battleground kind of up top in the temple.
Yeah, in every single district. Yeah, it has a different feel, and that kind of goes back to a little bit about what Ehrlich was talking about, how each district has a different respawn location, and some of them they're a little bit closer, but in like the Elven Gardens, they're kind of scattered across the map, so it does give a nice, cool feel. So we wanted the sewers and the districts to have a different time association with when you die, and we wanted to also not make it so, I died, I can just respawn back here and zerg the thing.
Yeah.
Granted, in some cases you can do that because we don't have resurrection restriction in some of the sub-boss rooms.
Sure, but
So if I
that
die,
takes
yeah.
player effort to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I get the
And
request.
if you're trying to like lock it down and make it safe before you start doing those events
Right.
down there, you can run around and clear everyone out first.
Right. Yep. Let's see. There's some more here. Cypher has one. Dun dun dun.
All right.
He loves combat, by the way.
Yeah.
You think?
Absolutely. loves
I
it.
seen him fighting like almost all the time.
Every day, all
Yeah.
day. Are you guys set in stone with the current damage reduction placed in PTS, or is there any wiggle room to change it before it goes live? Parentheses. I prefer middle ground between live and PTS.
Yeah. So I'm a handy sheet here.
Uh-huh. That's a softball for you. That's what we call it.
Yeah. So there are specifically some issues with damage shields right now that we're looking at adjusting. The first one is that the healing ward ability on the restoration staff and the morphs for that as well aren't getting affected as heavily as they should be by the serial reduction. So it reduces the damage, but it also reduces the damage shields.
Right.
And that one, it gets a 300% bonus, right? And that bonus is only being reduced by, the 50% is reducing it to 250, right, instead of 150. So it's not multiplying, it's not doing the math correctly.
Right.
So that's something we resolved, we fixed that a couple days ago or whatever. And then,
Or whatever.
or whatever. Yeah.
Fixed a lot of bugs.
Yes.
Eric goes through a ton of bugs.
And then the other thing we're looking at is adjusting critical strikes against damage shields.
Yep.
Because right now, no critical strikes happen if you have a damage shield active.
That's
so-
actually something Ehrlich was going to ask about, where he says, are there plans to fix damage shields so they can
Done.
be critically hit?
Yeah.
So there you
Yeah.
go.
So we want to make those two changes because those are pretty major,
Yep.
and then reevaluate from there. So, yeah, we're not like 100%. This is definitely how it's going to be, but it's definitely a lot nicer.
Right.
Seeing the game played now as before on live, where on people would get killed so quickly in 2 hits. Now you have a lot more time to use your abilities and respond to what the guy's doing. You can cast some heals and roll dodge and do all kinds of stuff, which is really nice.
I have a caps lock one. It's not all in caps lock. It's pretty good.
Caps lock shout.
It's
That
good.
means it's really important, right?
It is. It is. It's pretty important. Almaz 90046. Please answer the swarm. Wants to know. That's the capital part. The swarm.
Okay.
Wants to know, do we get bear mounts or are they just for NPCs? MPCs.
Do we
I
get
had to
bear
say it
mounts?
Exactly. Yeah. Do we get bear mounts?
When does he want them? Right now?
Everybody wants it right now, wouldn't you? If I could ride a
Wow.
bear, that'd be amazing.
How about we just say not for Imperial City?
Okay. Later. Soon, quote TM. What everybody?
dangerous,
that's,
too.
Look, that's what we say sometimes.
There will be a
when
bear
it's
mount
coming
at some
eventually.
point, yes.
That is true.
We like riding bears.
Derpy Muffins with a 3. Look, I know how to read lead speak. Derpy Muffins.
Derpy Muffins.
Derpy.
All right.
It's D3 RP.
Is that like just them up on top, or just like how?
With the removal of former Emperor passives, do you have any plans to let those who have the costume wear it outside of being the current Emperor, or perhaps a more subtle version of the costume? That's something that we kind of talked about a little bit,
Yeah.
of some of the quality of life changes coming forward. I know that in the coming patch with the former Emperor buffs getting stripped, and you only get to be emperor while you're actually emperor.
Yeah.
That does kind of make that costume a bit.
Yeah.
And you get to see Clavia walk around in it, so it's sort of like, well, why can't I?
Yeah.
So we have talked about that. I can't say when you'll be able to wear that, but I don't see a major issue with it at this point. Rise 44. Do you have any plans for fixing the rapidly growing champion point gap between veteran grinders and newcomers?
Eric, do you?
Yeah, we do.
Is that on that sheet too?
It's
It may
that
have
one's up
been.
here actually.
That's up there?
Yeah.
The mental
I didn't.
sheet.
I wasn't going to talk about it unless it came up, but
It came up. There you
it's
go.
here. Yeah, so we are working on 2 things in specific. The first one is a catch-up mechanic, so that you'll be able to get champion points faster if you're lower than sort of the other players. And then the other thing is a seasonal cap. So we would set a value of 300 or 500 or whatever champion points, and that would be the most amount you would be able to spend in a given season. And then we'll be sort of adjusting the caps by certain values as we release new content.
Do you want a...
Fair amount.
I do, for sure.
Nice.
Do you want a class question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Please.
Gortha Mephistic. I'm so proud that I pronounced that right.
Wow. First try, too.
That's crazy, it's long. Any plans to increase the damage from Wall of Elements and Liquid Lightning to make them more viable compared to other AoEs?
Liquid Lightning is pretty legit damage right now. We had significantly increased the duration of and damage of it in update 6, I believe. So we're pretty happy with that one. Wall of Elements, we also increased the duration of it pretty recently. So we'll certainly keep evaluating those abilities and and seeing how they're working. But like those abilities I expect are not going to be quite as useful in PvP environment because people they're kind of small and people are like running around and moving and stuff like that. But like if the target actually sits in the thing for the whole time,
They get hammered.
Yeah, they get messed up.
Yep. For you, Mr.
I think the wall.
Sir Richard?
I think the
Sir
wall
Richard.
of fire duration, just to be clear, I think the 2 seconds was added this update. I think there's been a lot of updates.
They'll let us know in Twitch real
But,
quick.
yeah.
Daniel will then tell us very quickly. Half Badger, Alt 681.
Okay.
What's the other half? If it's half badger, half man, half badger.
I don't know. Figure out half of 681 and then that's the other half. What are you going to do about the champion system point problem, and when will you do it?
So Eric touched on what we're planning on doing.
Right.
As for when,
Jeez. Can I have it right
I
now?
got the what. You got the when.
yeah, I mean,
We don't. I don't think we want to release the timetable right now because we're still
not
working
really.
on it.
Like we're still working on it. There's a lot of underpinnings there that we have to be careful with. But we want to get it in as soon as we can because obviously it is a problem, right? Like when you look at somebody with 500 champion points and somebody with 50 champion points, there's a pretty big difference there. And so
Yeah, we did a lot of math before we decided on what solution we wanted, and we're like, oh, if you have this many champion points, you get like this much more survivability, and this much more crit, and this much more damage and health and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, the numbers are pretty significant between the different ranks. So we wanted to create a more balanced experience, especially for gameplay with leaderboards, right?
Right.
It's kind of not fair if I have 50 and someone else has 1,000. Like I can never be anywhere close to his leaderboard time, right?
And we are still talking about, we mentioned this somewhat on the message boards about doing a non-champion campaign. We're still
that's on our list. Yeah.
running through that in terms of we would like to do that, but there's a lot, like you kind of heard Matt talk about and Rich talk about at QuakeCon, the champion system and the vet system, it runs through everything.
It does.
So
It's not a simple system.
yeah, it's not
pretty
easy to
complex.
do,
Yep.
but that is something that we've also talked about. Because obviously, if we change it so that the veteran ranks are moved eventually, there's sort of no point for having the non-veteran campaign anymore.
Indeed.
So we need to have another variant of that.
Yep.
Now, another one, talking about glass,
Oh yeah,
something about glass.
Near and dear to my heart.
Alfonso Janus,
it's sparkly.
with a little bit, it is sparkly, not just how I pronounce that. Will the materials or motifs for glass be on the Crown Store?
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
They'll be on the Crown Store.
But we wanted to give players a little bit of time
A little bit. Yep.
to get it themselves first.
Right. Lolium 2. This is from today's chat. Will Imperial City get a LOD model so we can see it in Cyrodiil from a distance? Currently, you can see the tower,
Right.
and you can see the huge anchor above it, but a lot of the rest of the city you kind of can't see. It's kind of fogged.
Yeah. But those are like the iconic pieces of it, right?
Yeah, it does
The White Hole
have.
Tower is, yeah.
It does have an LOD on the walls already. The problem is that the distance from the edge of Lake Ramar to
It's a
it's pretty far.
long- yeah.
It's really, really far, which is sort of, it's stretched a bit from what it was in Oblivion. That goes back to when we made Cyrodiil. We scaled it up because we had to do third person, as well as deal with travel times between keeps. And when we scale that up, we have to scale all of it up, which meant that in some cases you're going to stand on the shore and not be able to see what's going on at, let's say, the walls of the districts. That's not to say we can't revisit the fog or the weather around it later to maybe make it look a little bit more clear. But currently there actually is an LOD. It's just the fact that it's so far away, it's hard to see with the fog. And that also takes away a bit from like that mood piece that we saw from Quake, where
Oh, I
you see
love
the
that
anchors
mood
hammering
piece.
everywhere.
Yeah.
We still wanted to keep that intact.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
The fact that the war is still going on in Imperial City with the Daedric invasion.
Yeah, so even if you're not in there, part of it,
You can
you
still
sort
see
of
it,
are like,
right.
oh.
So I mean, I get that. I would love to stand on the edge and see it too, but for performance reasons in Cyrodiil, as well as just the fact of how big it is, it's there. We're gonna maybe look at later on, seeing if we can clear it up a bit for you guys. Let's see here. We have some still. We have
There's
a bunch
more?
of. We have
You're
a
only on like
bunch.
page 3.
Well, I mean, I've been kind of flipping back and
There's
forth
a-
and back
yeah.
and forth. Shield dying from DJ Erica.
Oh, yeah.
Or did
Who
Jericho
doesn't want
or
to hear
Jericho?
about shield dying?
We know it's confirmed.
Do we?
So when can we get it? That's the question.
When can we get it? I mean, it's on the list, right? Like we want to do it. So the best answer I have right now is it's on the list.
It's
Got
coming.
you.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Ego rush. This is a Telvar Stone question.
Okay.
Telvar stones are shared between a group for a boss kill.
Yeah.
What if there are multiple groups attacking the same enemy? Is it the group that lands the killing blow solely gets the stones, or is it split amongst everybody?
So you can have up to 12 people being contributors and getting credit for it. So yeah, if you have 2 groups of 4, everyone can get it. And even if you're an individual and there's a group of 4, as long as you do enough damage, I believe it's about like 10% of the damage.
To qualify.
Yeah,
To
as long as you're a
qualify.
significant contributor
So,
to
yeah.
it.
Yep. That's 10% is what we call qualification.
Right. So what that doesn't account for is, if there's 30 people beating on this thing, only 12 are going to get rewards.
Yeah, the 12 top contributors.
Let's see here. I got a bunch from Hero of None. Will we see further optimization in items and builds? So magic and stamina can be closer with the right build. We kind of already got that one.
Yep.
Shug, which you love that name of.
Shug.
Exiled Tyrant. Are bleeds and dots in general going to get better
that's a good one.
or getting an overhaul? There have been far too many counters on the forms of heals, purge, damage shield purging, and granting immunity, and blocking half of dots' damages. So in other words, are bleeds and dots going to get better?
So one of the good things about bleeds and dots is they can't be blocked, right? Like once you're bleeding, you can't like put up your shield and reduce the damage, which is one of the nice things about it. Additionally, those types of abilities are actually a lot more effective now that the kill times are longer, because the damage per cast on all those dots is higher than any other like instant cast ability. So they're actually useful and getting more useful. Like I heard someone say like, oh yeah, I fully dotted the guy, and as soon as his damage shield went down, his health just dropped, right? So yeah, overall we're pretty happy with those. The thing that bothers me most, I think, about the bleeds is that they're not effective on a number of the targets in our games. A bunch of the monsters are just immune to bleeds. So that's something I'd like to look at modifying in the future.
Let's see. Some more from today's Twitch stream. From Yui 999. Yui. If you plan to bring back damage, how will blockers and dodgers defend themselves effectively? I know you can time things, but against instacast abilities such as surprise attack, it can be very difficult. So bringing back damage or toning it
So
down.
I'm not
What does that
sure
question
what the
mean?
question means.
If Yo-Yo Yui 999
Yeah.
can reiterate that one back and clarify it a touch, I will ask it again later.
Thank you.
But Jeshmir, Jeshmir, okay. How do Telvar stones
Smeared around.
looted from players?
Can I put that on my bread?
Good Lord.
If it's a boy or a girl, they may just come over here and punch you in the face for this.
We're getting a lot of people
So,
punching us in the face this show.
It's Imperial City, it's PvP. So how do Telvar stones looted from players work for healers?
Yeah, so as long as you're a significant contributor, you'll get it as a healer. So you need to heal the person who is on the credit list, and
Right.
then you will also be put on the credit list.
Yep.
So if everyone on your group or not in your group, but if you're going solo, right?
Right, if like Rich is following you and you kill me, and he's healing you while you kill me, and
Yeah.
he does at least significant contribution of keeping you alive
Yeah.
while we're fighting.
But if like I killed you and I didn't need any healing, and he was just like spamming heals on me, then he doesn't get anything
Right.
because he wasn't helping.
Yep.
Thanks,
yep.
Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
But like one of the great things about our game is we support sort of multiple play styles, right? So if it's like, oh yeah, Eric's doing fine killing Brian Wheeler, he's doing a great job, he's taking care of business, you can just weapon swap right to like a destruction staff instead of healing staff, and then you can start pouring on the damage too to make sure. Or if we're grouped, right, then we would just both get it no matter what we do. So.
You're like killing me. So
I'm
sad.
sorry, man.
Well, at least you haven't stabbed me with this cool high elf dagger.
By the
Way
way,
to give him
I have some bad
ideas.
news for you.
Wow.
This is a slightly long one. D-Duke, or Deduke. How are you balancing Imperial City and future content based on players' champion points? How do you avoid the problem of content becoming incredibly easy for players with tons of champion points versus players with not a lot, that it becomes too hard for them?
Yeah, so that's really exactly why we wanted to make this new system of having a cap.
Right.
So then we would have a balance point of this is as strong as players can get for doing this content, instead of like, oh, they could have 500 or 1,000,
Yep.
And then also the catch-up mechanic, right? So the people who are down low can get closer to that cap a little bit quicker as well.
Much quicker.
Yeah,
Right.
Much
yeah.
quicker.
You're going to be getting champion points pretty fast
Right.
if you don't have a lot.
Yep.
From Atticus, are there any plans to make AP worth more than just to buy soul gems with?
Oh, I got a really great thing to tell you about that you haven't heard about yet. You can buy portal stones with your alliance points instead of having to spend the Telvar stones. And also you can buy a whole bunch at like stacks to 100 now. And so then, if you're on the sewers level 3, you can just portal back, or if, there's a big crowd of enemies you don't want to try to run through, you can use the portal stone. So they're really handy. They are going to be pretty expensive in terms of alliance points, but
Something like 10,000 for it.
yeah, somewhere around there.
But they're totally worth it.
Yeah, they're
Right.
totally worth it.
Now, in terms of everybody going, oh my god, 10,000. That's kind of what we've seen from our BI team, that
Yeah.
that's about the average amount of points that people earn in an hour when they're running through.
If you're killing, if you're like
you're killing
getting
people
If you're
like
killing
this.
people and doing
Yeah.
keeps and doing, we need to look at obviously the AP gain in Imperial City to see how that goes too.
Right.
Now the follow up from Yo-Yo-Yui 999.
Oh, he's back now with more questions.
Right. So, okay. This is literally says, okay. Referring to the
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Referring to the question about removing the damage reduction in PvP. If, it's capitals,
Oh.
if this does happen, how will blockers and dodgers defend themselves effectively? And by bringing back damage, I mean if you guys choose to remove the 30% damage reduction in Cyrodiil. So that's what he's talking about. The 30% damage, like...
that you block 50% of all damage
Right,
instead
the
of
battle spirit
20%.
change,
Yeah. We are not likely to go all the way back to 20%. Like if we did tweak it, we would probably be like 40 or 45%. Because like 50's feeling pretty good, but it might need a little bit tweaking. And just to reiterate what I was saying before, we're going to test the damage shield changes
Right.
as well to sort of see how that goes.
Templars of Doom ESO. It's kind of a cool
Oh,
name. Templars of Doom. Will there be consideration to enabling the use of oil pots in Imperial City?
Oh.
Currently,
PvP.
well, currently Siege is disabled in Imperial City across the board. I know that there's the one video of the Imperials, and if you've been into the Elven Gardens, you see those guys trying to block.
Yeah, they get all
knock
kinds of
down the wall.
ballistas
Yep.
and stuff like that, right?
If we do
Catapults.
any siege weaponry, it'll probably be placed by us at locations where we think need a little bit of help. To kind of go back to Erlex's question.
Like maybe you could fire it at, like if you were trying to
at
camp
one
your
of the
spawn
respawn
or something
locations,
like
right.
that.
Like we may end up going that route because then we can at least make sure it's in a location that we know will be used effectively to kind of eliminate another issue that we may see, which again
Right.
was the spawn
Yeah.
camping.
Right.
But we want to focus on players fighting players.
right.
Yeah, so that's the caveat,
That's the
right?
big
is-
thing. Yes, the fact that Imperial City plays a lot differently, and a lot of people have commented on Twitch about this too. That it's fast, it's frantic. A lot of people are enjoying it. Some people say it is not the horse simulation of Cyrodiil, so it's a lot of fun.
But those
that people run
equestrians
around there.
love Cyrodiil.
Right, it's true. Now, I love running around in Cyrodiil on my horse. But I also love running around and killing people really, really fast.
Yeah,
Imperial
that's
City.
what I'm all about.
So
Now we have both.
now we have both,
Yep,
right?
whatever
and
you like.
we want to see how it plays out for a while, and we can see about adding Siege in there later. But if we do anything in the short term, it'll probably be specifically placed by us. The new tab targeting, Rise 44. I like the new tab targeting.
It looks nice.
I watched a few streams that were talking very positively about.
About it. Are
New
you
tab
being
targeting.
silly with how you said positive?
No,
You're
I'm
dead serious. Okay,
dead
good.
serious. Really positive.
The new
I wouldn't
tab
joke around
targeting
with you, come
system
on.
is barely visible. That's the exact opposite of sort of what we're talking about. Haha, set you up. And is pretty useless in bigger groups.
Wow.
Busted.
Is that intended? Is there a chance to get the box back?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I really
Maybe.
don't know.
I found
Maybe.
I found it to be very useful because you can see somebody when you have them tab targeted. They go around a corner. If you don't break your target,
right.
and if you don't break LOS or they don't stealth on you, you can still see kind of what they're doing, and you kind of have a good idea what's going on. But as soon as you switch your target, you lose that.
Right.
So it does give you a little bit more information of your immediate target in your immediate
Yeah,
area.
in the
which is
box
kinda
sometimes
cool.
it was hard to tell you had the right guy if there
Yep.
was a lot of people sort of
Right.
around.
Now,
So
I
the
mean,
outline really lets you know. What's
yeah,
going
I
on.
see what they're saying. In a huge group, it's a pain in the butt, but so is having the box in a huge group too.
Yeah.
So I think that you get a little bit more information from it because it's useful in the fact that
I
it shows
think
the
so.
whole outline. But then again, it is something that we can maybe look at, maybe later turning into a toggle if we want to do something. But
Maybe. I mean,
for now, the
right
outline.
now we're gonna stay with it and
yeah,
get
a
more,
lot of
get more
people-
data.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to like it so far. Imperial Destiny.
Ooh.
Are you supposed to be able to hear random voices around Imperial City? Yeah, it's him. And him. And us. It's just listening in on you and saying things or stuff. No, there's
Not the least bit creepy.
there's actually the Zivkin all have a lot of voiceover
Yes, they
work.
do.
You'll hear them say not only stuff in English, but in some crazy language that our lore master Lawrence would be able to say is the actual language of the Zivkin. You can hear them say something Moleg Ball when they speak in that language. But you hear it a lot in the Arboretum, where they're running around searching through those books for that quest line.
What about just all the Imperial prisoners?
You hear the Imperial prisoners saying, "Please free me."
Yep.
So those poor souls being enslaved by the Zivkin.
And there aren't any items that you can get in your backpack that'll just like constantly whisper
No.
to you and drive you crazy.
No,
Okay.
there's none like that. But there was a lot of work done from our writers, from our content developers, and the VO getting in there to kind of not just make it look cool, but also sound cool. So also to our sound guys, thank you as well for all the
Yeah.
work they did too.
Those guys work hard.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Oh, come on now, CJ.
Yes, they do. Let's see.
That was CJ, by the way, Brad.
No,
just
okay.
so you know.
Yeah.
Gina, you're so manly.
Oh.
What? Mr. Mr. KOHH. Right now, all gap closers pull you from stealth, even though they're single target. Is this intended?
So specifically, if you're shadow cloaked and someone is charging you, is that what he's asking about?
I'm guessing just in stealth in general. Like that's how the question
in general,
is
the
phrased.
closing.
Yeah,
Like, you're
yeah.
stealth,
So
and I use a gap
there's
closer.
still a few sort of code issue bugs that we're working through with stealth being removed at the wrong time.
Okay.
But if I cast a charge ability, right, and I'm charging across at Rich, that absolutely removes the stealth from me.
Right.
So you're not like getting some special crit
Some
because you're like
invisible
running at the
crit.
guy charging and yelling with your sword over your head. Like you're not gonna get a stealth critical bonus.
There you go.
I believe there's one here about controller support.
Yep.
we mentioned it at QuakeCon, but do we have an ETA on when? I like controller support.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I mean, we've been testing it forever internally. We don't have an ETA yet. There's still some bugs with it, but we're getting closer, a lot closer actually.
Razzpatazz. I like
Nice.
that name.
Flows well.
If Robust is going to remain a passive, will there be any tweaks to health regen?
That's something certainly we will be looking at for future updates. We're not going to do anything for update 7 because we have tons of balance changes and we've done a lot of stuff, and we're trying to focus on the next update as well as getting feedback. But it's fine for now. It's fine for now.
Yeah, but again, we are looking at the feedback. You know that he's lurking. I post. Eric is always lurking.
I'm doing
and watching.
everything.
He's always there
I'm
too.
in there.
So we're always making sure the feedback is listened to. I think we're going to be wrapping it up here. But is there anything else you want to say in closing, or I may say something, but you get to go first.
In closing, I mean, not really, not anything that I haven't already said. You know, it's been awesome to see the overall feedback of Imperial City. It's definitely something that we are very excited about. And it looks like a lot of people are actually excited about playing it too.
Yeah.
So
They've been playing it like crazy. It's awesome.
We're going to continue tuning and tweaking and fixing bugs as we go. We've got some more time on PTS, and we're going to keep fixing stuff and try and make it as good as we can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would say each iteration of the PTS is going to be getting significantly
Better
better.
and better.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It will
more-
definitely be a lot more stable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we know about the client issues. Again, we did post up a fix on the forums to give that a shot until we get the actual fix from our coder gang up to the PTS for you guys, so you won't have to worry about that workaround.
Overall, I'm really glad that there's a ton of people playing though, because it's really fun for us to get in there and have tons of people to fight with, and try out the different content and get gagged when we're trying to kill monsters and stuff like that. It's a blast.
I think I have like 4 or 5 Twitch streams running. When I go home, I just plaster them all over and I'm watching them.
You're like the architect of the Matrix.
That would be awesome. If I had the little pen that flipped things, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I guess from my end, in terms of other things to look out for, the team has been making sure that that sewer event, all the way in the lower portion of the sewers, we found some issues with that.
Yeah.
And that should be respawning when we do the next version of PTS. And
So you don't want to get down there and check it out, see all the cool bosses.
Like I said, there's
See
some
the fancy
really
guy.
cool stuff down there.
Yeah.
And some really cool rewards down there.
Yep, the gear that you have dropping from there is also really good.
Yeah, there's some neat stuff.
And there will be a new sweeper added to the Temple District. I'm not going to talk more about
sweeper.
that, but he's pretty cool looking.
Oh man.
But beyond that, in 2 weeks, your regularly scheduled ESO Live will be back.
Yeah.
So you can tell Gina, Jess, Jason, and
how much
Kai
you missed them.
How
Yep.
much you missed them,
Yep.
and never let us do this again.
We took their time.
You'll get the fan art will come back, as well as life at ZOS and any other cool things they decide to come up and show you.
Yep.
Short of that,
I'm gonna be working on my fan art actually.
you're gonna get some doodles?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get a submission in there.
Ah,
and
that'll
see
be
if I can
cool.
get on.
Wow.
That'll be cool.
So one thing we'd be remiss on mentioning, Imperial City, live on PC and Mac on August 31st.
All right.
And then it'll be 2 weeks after that, so September 15th and 16th for Xbox One and PS4.
Oh man, can't get
So,
in there.
excited.
Stab some fools.
Yep, absolutely
Have some
excited.
fun.
We know that the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 people, oh, I'm a fool. He stabbed a fool. Are actually out there.
He did actually.
Watching. Shut up. Are out there watching the Twitch channels because they don't have a PTS that they can hop in. But we do appreciate any feedback we get. PC,
Absolutely. Yep.
Mac,
Absolutely.
PS4, Xbox. Please, even if you're not playing, you can comment about how, hey, why is that cloud doing a funky thing, which we see in the game. So I mean, anything you want to post about, by all means,
Yep.
Absolutely.
post it. We are watching, we are listening. And again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yay. Bye everyone.